In today's class, we will discuss about the various finishing processes. Okay, that is one chapter included in the advanced manufacturing technology subject. Okay, so the chapter name is finishing processes. So, by the name itself indicates the processes are of finishing type, and obviously you can say that there are different process, finishing process. Okay, in this chapter. So, let us discuss one by one what are the different finishing processes and what are the different terminology used in the chapter, and also how best the finishing operation can be done with the help of different instruments or tools. Okay. So, let us see one by one. First of all, before going ahead with this finishing process, then what is the need to go for a finishing process? Here, the answer for the above question is a workpiece undergoes a machining operation, okay, like turning, grinding, etc. So, after undergoing grinding, the workpiece surface will be with some you can say with some this holdings, rather you can say that workpiece surface is not uniform throughout the workpiece. So, the workpiece is having some holdings such as the upper cuts, okay, which will not be machined by the grinding. Okay. So, to remove these type of excess material on the surface of the workpiece, what we will do is we will go for the finishing operations. Okay. So, this is the need of the finishing operations. Okay. So, the most so coming back to our chapter finishing processes. So, as I already told that the need of the finishing process is that to remove any extra excess metal on the surface of the workpiece, so that it can be surface can be easily smoothened and grounded to the requirements of the end user. Okay. So, now we will enter into the actual chapter called finishing process. Okay. One by one we will deal with the finishing process. Okay. First of all, the most widely used finishing process is lapping. So, lapping is nothing but lapping is a finishing operation. It is used to finish the surface of the workpiece with the help of an instrument called lap. Okay. So, that instrument called lap is having what you can say, is having what you can say, some abrasives, abrasive grains attached with the lap. Okay. So, these loose abrasive grains attached with the lap are helping to what you can say, to make the surface in a good condition. Okay. That means to remove the small amounts of material on the surface, we will use an instrument called lap. So, on the lap these loose abrasive grains are there. With the help of these loose abrasive grains, so we will take this lap onto the workpiece, which is to be surface finished. Okay. They are tightly held one onto the another. Okay. So, that means lapping is nothing but placing the lap on the workpiece. General meaning of the lapping is nothing but the placing the one object over the another object in tight condition. Okay. So, the same is applicable here also, but technically speaking lap is a this machining tool with loose abrasive grains. These loose abrasive grains only are used for removing the small amounts of material from the surface of the workpiece, so that the surface gets smoothened. Okay. So, this is all about the surface finishing process called lapping. Okay. Next, we will switch over to another surface finishing process called honing, Honing, honing. Okay. Honing is a surface finishing operation which utilizes a honing tool on which abrasive grains are bonded to the honing tool. That means, what I mean to say is abrasive grains are sticked to the honing tool. Okay. So, especially honing is carried out for surface finish of circular holes. Okay. So, this honing tool is placed in the hole and rotated around the circular hole, so that material will be removed and finally the internal surface of the circular hole will become smoother. Okay. In this way, honing tool is useful for getting the surface finish in good condition. Okay. So, this is about honing. So, then comes a question, whereas Lapping is using the abrasive grains in loose conditions. Remember that you you remember that honing uses abrasive grains in loose condition. Okay. But whereas when lapping uses abrasive grains in loose condition, but when comes to the honing tool has the abrasive grains in a bonded condition. That means all the abrasive grains are bonded to the honing tool. That means these abrasive grains are stick to the honing tool. So that honing tool rotates in the circular hole and the inside surface of the circular hole gets finished. Okay. That is the brief explanation about honing. Then if you compare lapping with honing, in the lapping process of surface finish, a small amount of material only can be removed, okay, up to 0.005 mm. This much of amount of material is only removed. Whereas in the case of what you can say honing, some major portion of material is removed, okay, when compared to lapping, okay, like 0.1 mm material, okay, will be removed with the help of honing. So these are the basic ideas regarding lapping and honing. These two are widely used in the industry for finishing the surface of a given workpiece. Okay. So then we will switch over to super finishing. Super finishing. So by listening the word called super finishing itself, you can say that object needs to be super finished. It indicates that a glittering surface, what I mean to say is a glittering surface will be appeared on the workpiece, or a glowing surface will be appeared on the workpiece, okay, with the help of supporting tools and instruments. Okay. So this is known as super finishing. That means it is not an ordinary finishing, super finishing. In super finishing, the surface finish is like glittering. That means it will reflect into your eyes. If you see the surface, just like it will reflect into your eyes, and you cannot see the surface for 1 or 2 minutes continuously. That is known as super finishing. Okay. This is all about the super finishing. Then we will go for the coating of surfaces. Coating of surfaces. If you take the surface of any workpiece, Even after going for the surface finishing operations, we need to go for the coating operation. Then what is the need to go for the coating operation? Even though we already performed surface finishing operations called lapping, honing and super finishing. Even after performing all these operations, surface finishing operations, there is a scope for the surface to undergo corrosion and wear and tear over a period of time. Okay. So, to minimize this corrosion and wear and tear, we will go for the coating of surfaces of workpieces. Okay. Surfaces of workpieces are to be coated. So, types of coating, there are again types of coatings. Okay. In types of coatings, you will have anodizing and you can say electrical coating, galvanizing. Like this, various types of coatings are there. So, depending on the our requirement, we will use the coating. Okay. Suppose I will say about galvanizing. Galvanizing is a surface coating method in which zinc is coated on the surface of a given workpiece. Okay. So, why here zinc only? Because zinc has the resistance to corrosion. Okay. So, in galvanizing, zinc coating is used on the surface of the given workpiece. Okay. So, like this various coating methods are there, coating techniques are there. Okay. Then we will discuss about what we can say this in surface finishing operations. Again, we will switch over to the the types of you can say types or methods of you can say methods of this surface finishing. Types or methods of surface finishing, you can say. Okay. One method of surface finishing is nothing but the using of a particular abrasive grain, whether it is in loose condition or the abrasive grain is in bonded condition. Okay. So, only these two are the criteria for finishing the surface. Okay. With the help of these abrasive grains only, we will go for the surface finishing operations like lapping and honing. Okay. Then we also have studied about the coating techniques, and we also discussed about the what is the need to go for the coating. Why? Because coating is required if the surface is kept open to the atmosphere for a longer periods, there will be a chance of corrosion and wear and tear. So, to minimize these chance of getting this corrosion on the surface and wear and tear on the surface, we will go for the coating. Again, we have discussed there are different coating methods like zinc coating, that is known as galvanizing, anodizing, okay, electroplating. Okay, electroplating is also a one type of coating. Okay. So, all these are coating techniques which will protect the surface of the workpiece from corrosion and wear and tear. Okay. Then in surface finishing process, we will have another topics like what we can say, cast iron as a surface finishing tool. Cast iron as a surface finishing tool. So, definitely cast iron will be used as a surface finishing tool because due to graphite flakes, because due to graphite flakes immersed in the structure of the cast iron, these graphite flakes will act as a lubricant, so that the surface finishing operation will be easier. Okay. So, like this cast iron is also a tool for surface finishing operation. Okay. Then if you compare both these lapping and honing, can take advantage and disadvantages. Lapping requires very little amount of you can say time to remove the material, because it removes only a small amount of material. Obviously, it will take a lesser time, whereas honing requires major amount of time, because honing tool will be in contact with the almost all the surface of the workpiece. Okay. Because honing tool will rotate around the circle. So, the surface of the circle will be in contact with the honing tool throughout the honing tool. So, obviously, the more this material will be removed, and the time is also somewhat extra time is needed when compared to lapping. Okay. Then again, if you take the same lapping and honing operations, honing requires an expert operator to perform the surface finishing, whereas lapping doesn't require the expert operator, because it is only placing the lapping tool on the given workpiece surface. Just that is the only lapping process. But when it comes to honing, here there is a separate honing tool is there, then it has to be operated carefully for removing the more amount of material from the circular holes. Okay. The honing tool will be kept in the circular hole, and it is the honing tool is continuously rotating in the circular hole to remove the material, so that the inner surface of the circular hole will be smoother. Okay. Obviously, the honing will be performed by the expert operators only. Okay. And when it comes to the cost of these surface finishing operations, honing is costly surface finishing operation when compared to the lapping. Lapping doesn't require much money. Only thing you need is that the honing, the lapping tool with loose abrasives. Abrasives are loose. Honing tool, the lapping tool is generally a rectangular mild steel bar. So, on the rectangular mild steel bar, on the surface of the rectangular mild steel bar, there are abrasive grains which are in loose condition. So, these loose condition abrasive grains are used for finishing the given surface. Okay. But whereas in the case of lapping, honing, but whereas in the case of honing, there is a separated tool. For that tool, the abrasive grains are bonded to each other, okay, tightly. The abrasive grains are bonded to each other tightly, and the tool is taken to the surface of the workpiece where machining is to be carried out, where surface finishing is to be carried out. Okay. Generally, honing will be used to finish the surfaces of circular holes Okay, and what you can say, gear wheel teeth. Okay, like this, lapping and horning differs from each other in 4 or 5 aspects. Okay. So, this is about the what you can say, a brief explanation about lapping and horning and its advantages and disadvantages, and also how effectively the lapping removes the material, that we also discussed, and also how effectively the horning will be used to remove the material, that also I explained. Okay. Then we switched over to the another topic called coating of surface. In this coating of surfaces, I explained you about different coating methods like electroplating, anodizing, okay, galvanizing. Like this, there are 3 or 4 important coating methods, okay, out of which galvanizing, as I told, galvanizing is a method of coating in which zinc is used. Zinc is will be sprayed on the surface of the workpiece, so that the workpiece is protected from the corrosion and wear and tear. Okay. Then apart from this, electroplating is also there. In electroplating, what we will do is we will immerse the our workpiece into the this anode diode chamber, okay, that is known as electrical chamber, where one is anode, another is diode. Okay. So, by the immersion, the surface of the workpiece will be coated with the molten metal, which is inside the, see what you can say, that vessel. Okay. With that molten metal will be deposited into the deposited onto the surface of the workpiece, so that it will be coated. Generally, magnesium will be used as a molten metal in electroplating. Okay, that magnesium coating is applied by immersion of the workpiece in the this electroplating mechanism. Okay. So, therefore, the workpiece gets protected from other effects from the atmosphere. Okay. So, like this we have various coating techniques. Okay. Then we will switch over to the what we call this types of what you can say types of we discussed these coatings, methods of coatings, uh, again types of uh, this surface finishing operations. Okay. Again, in types of surface finishing operations, apart from lapping and honing, there are nearly 10 types of surface finishing operations. Okay. Namely, apart from lapping and honing, there are, you can say, with the help of abrasive grains, you can say that there are near about 10 processes, okay, to smoothen the given workpiece so that it will be free of any scratches or any marks. Okay. So, again we studied also, we discussed also super finishing. Okay. Super finishing, I explained you that it is a finishing operation of given workpiece by making that it will glitter, the surface of the given workpiece will be glittered so that our eyes cannot see the surface continuously for 1 minute. So, up to that level the surface will be finished. Then then comes a question where this super finishing will be required. So, this is an important aspect to study about. This super finishing is required in the objects like plates which we will use in kitchen utensils, okay, kitchen utensils, surgical instruments, kitchen utensils and surgical instruments, okay, the instruments which are used during the surgery by a doctor. So, these instruments are super finished, okay, because a surgical knife is different from the ordinary knife which we are using. Okay. So, these surgical instruments are to be super finished for effective functioning of the instruments, okay. And also kitchen utensils, they are also super finished, okay. If they are not super finished, what will happen? Within a short span of time, they will lose its surface smoothness and the surface will become dull and it will be condemned. Okay. Object, the workpiece will be, object or workpiece will be condemned. Okay. So, like this in industry we have so many types of surface finishing operations are there. Okay. But here in our chapter called surface finishing processes, so we are speaking about processes which are used for finishing of a given surface. Okay. So, what are the processes as I told earlier or just now, like processes like lapping, okay, honing, and if you go for super finishing, that is a again that is a different process. Okay. If you go for coatings of surfaces, again we have different coatings. We will provide different coatings on the surfaces for different requirements. Okay. And also for coatings there are different types, as you know, as I explained, electroplating is a one method for coating of surfaces. Galvanizing is very well known example of coating technique, and anodizing is also another method of coating the surface. So, like this we have different types of coating methods of a given surface, so that the surface will be protected from the atmosphere. Okay. So, this is all about the what we can say a brief lecture regarding surface finishing processes. Okay. So, in our next class we will discuss about the some important questions and answers also, which will appear in the end examination. Okay. So, like the questions may be like this: what are the differences between lapping and honing? Okay. This is a straight question. The answer for this question is directly read by the textbook. One more question may be, what is super finishing? What do you understand by the term super finishing? Okay. The another question may be like this: what is the necessity of the coatings for the workpieces? This may be another question. Okay. So, like this, in the next class, what we will see is we will discuss about the different question answer session in the tomorrow's class. Okay. On this chapter, especially on surface finishing processes. Okay. So, before concluding, I would like to say a few things. Here surface finishing processes will come into picture only if a workpiece will undergo a machining operation or if a workpiece will undergo a grinding operation. Okay. After undergoing machining or grinding operation, so the residual material which are sticked onto the surface of a given workpiece are to be removed. Okay. So, for that purpose we will go for the surface finishing processes. Okay. Otherwise, there is no need to go for the surface finishing process, because after grinding a workpiece, the surface of the workpiece is in not a good position. It is in the surface of the workpiece is in the condition that it will the surface is with some higher material at one point and lower material and no material at another point. So, these are all the this what we can say this extra materials which are not removed by grinding process. So, to make the surface the best finished one, obviously we go for the surface finishing process. So, in that surface finishing process we are having the various techniques or processes called what you can say lapping and honing. Okay. So, this is all about what I can say before concluding the session on surface finishing process. So, as I told you in the earlier classes, our subject advanced manufacturing engineering involves a huge amount of brain usage and imaginative power, okay, and imaginative power to understand the whole subject. Okay. Because by understanding the chapter wise by understanding the chapter wise what you can say by understanding the chapter wise topics, you will come to know fully about the advanced manufacturing engineering. Okay. So, for the last 10 to 12 lessons, we dealt with jigs and fixtures and again powder metallurgy we dealt with that also we discussed. Okay. Jigs and fixtures and some other topic we have dealt with. Okay. So, with this I am closing the session. Thank you.